This is Ollie's first formal training session. Yesterday, he just used the day to decompress and acclimate to the new space. This morning, we did a walk in a novel space with 2 other dogs just to gauge what his confidence level was in novel spaces. He did pretty well. I would give him like a B+. When he saw new people or new dogs, I did see some shyness from him and some hesitation. We were about 150 feet away, so there was no interaction. I think it was just like, whoa, what's that over there kind of thing. So I think the socialization piece of this beginner curriculum is going to be really important for him. The more novelty that he's exposed to, especially at this younger age, is going to be very helpful in kind of solidifying a more confident, environmentally sound adult dog. So in addition to the socialization piece today, hey, Ollie, he is going to be working on some basic obedience skills. The first session in my basic obedience curriculum is all about focus. The focus is so important, and it's the first foundational skill that I train, because without focus, you can't train a dog. Dog training, in my opinion, is all about having a conversation with a dog. If the dog is not looking at you, they're not wanting to have a conversation with you. So focus is everything. In dog training, there's several different kinds of ways to train and different kinds of schools of thought. I ascribe more to the positive rewards-based thought, and so I'm more about using a reward to promote a behavior and the absence of a reward to punish a behavior. So when I pay him with food. When I want to punish him, I will not pay him with food. He seems to like to eat, so food is going to be his reward. There's some dogs that don't care about food, so you use toy or affection. That he's easy breezy because he seems to really like food, so I'm going to use food. I'm going to be using a high value food for my training. I either use a training treat called Bill Jack. It's sold at Publix in the frozen ice section because it's got fresh chicken in it, and it's very high value. Or I use low fat string cheese, which is what I have today for him. And then sometimes I'll also do boiled chicken. So he's working for string cheese today. Before we even start on any focus work, we are going to train him to a clicker. A clicker makes this sound, and it's to let the dog know that they've done what I wanted them to ask. It's a way to what's called mark the behavior that he wanted. And this lets him know, oh, it's for that behavior that I heard right before the click rather, that got me this reward. So that's a very foundational level of understanding that's required before you do more complex training. If your dog is afraid of the clicker sound, or if you have a handler that forgets the clicker, you can retrain the dog to know that they've done something right by saying what's called a marker word. So instead of a click, you would say yes or good, just some sort of a word that's very short. You don't want to try and avoid longer words because sometimes behaviors can happen very quickly. Whenever I'm training a new skill, with this focus, I tend to do both luring and shaping and catching as a way to get a behavior. With him and the specific problems that you mentioned, which was some impulse control issues, I think shaping and catching is going to be better for him. It's better for dogs that are struggling with annoying behaviors. Hey, Ollie, because they're more emotional. Hey, come here. So anyway, we're going to get started. I'll stop talking. So I'm just going to click and give him a food reward for hearing it. It's like how Pavlov conditioned his dogs to the sound of the bell yielding food and how he got them to salivate. So this click means nothing to him right now. I'm trying to make it mean something for him. For any psychology nerds out there, technically, the click sound is an unconditioned stimulus, means nothing to him. I'm conditioning the stimulus by giving him a food reward, something that he naturally thinks is good. And you just keep doing it over and over again. If he was to do something that we found annoying, like jump on me or bark at me, then I wouldn't click and treat. I would wait for him to stop and then I would click. But he doesn't have to sit or lay down or look at me right now. All he has to do is hear the click and get the reward. Now, what I was saying earlier about his reaction to novelty, because he's seemed a little bit shy in new places, when I start to work him on some skills out in public, we might notice a regression in his performance as he starts to try and acclimate more towards the space instead of worry more about the learning of the new skills. So whenever we do have a dog that's a little bit more shy in the environment, let me get his feet. Why are they hot? Whenever we get a dog that's a little bit more shy in an environment, we want to try and first build their confidence in it, which is why socialization is such a big piece of this beginner obedience curriculum. We also hope for a strong food drive or toy drive that kind of combats any kind of fear of the novelty. And then we also hope that the fear of novelty isn't too severe. Because if he goes out in public and he's afraid that people are going to murder him, he's going to be more concerned about that than he is going to be about learning. So you can see how that kind of acts as an antagonist to any kind of training. Seeing how much time we have. Alright, so now what we're going to do is work on some focus. I need to get some more cheese for him. I'm cutting it with my teeth. Okay, so like I said before, I think his issues with the impulsivity are going to be best complemented by the training technique called shaping and catching. Shaping and catching is where you wait the dog out for the behavior that you want instead of giving them a formal instruction. So for eye contact, what I'm going to do is present Ollie with a problem. The problem is going to be me withholding a food reward from him. And dogs are going to cycle through a bunch of frustration-related behaviors to try and get the food out of my hand. The most common one is like licking at it like he is right now. Sometimes they'll paw at it. Sometimes they'll jump on you. Sometimes they'll bark at you. I'm going to punish those behaviors, and I'm going to wait for him to look at me. I'm going to hold my hand up closer to my head so that it's a little bit easier for his eyes to drift over to mine. And when his eyes do drift over to mine, I'm going to click and give him one of these pieces of cheese to reinforce for him the idea that eye contact can solve my problems when I'm frustrated. He's kind of given up on this exercise right now because it was too hard, and he's doing what's called displacement behaviors right now. He's sniffing at something in the gravel. But he hasn't forgotten about the cheese. The longer you wait a dog out, the better it is for their learning, I think. So I'm going to wait him out for as long as I need to until my patience goes away. Okay. Come on. Come on. Alright, my patience went away. I felt bad for him. So I kind of kissed at him to try and remind him, or not remind him because that was his first rat, to kiss at him to try and let him know what I want from him is focus. Good, he did it again. Good job on his own. Nice. Right there. And you'll start to notice with shaping and catching that the dog will start to understand what it is you want from them to get the cheese, solve the problem. They should get faster and faster at giving you that eye contact. I feel like I'm losing him. Hey, Ollie. So I'm trying to bring him back on task. Hey. Good job. Come on. Good. That was a really good one, yeah? Good. Yep, he's starting to get the hang of it. You look like a border collie. Distracted. Nice. Don't eat a rock with your cheese. Okay. Okay. Nice job. So he's starting to get it. Good. Nice. Okay. So I hope that makes sense. We're going to transition over now to the way you can lure eye contact. Again, I am much more passionate about offered behaviors where the dog does it on his own, just like what we just did, as opposed to you luring a behavior or formally requesting it with a hand signal or verbal command. I don't think the dog learns as much then. But in case you're with somebody that needs hand signals or verbal commands to help a dog do what they want, I'm gonna teach Ollie how to do eye contact on cue. So I'm gonna get some more cheese. Hang on. I hope. That's kind of gross. Okay. So I have a bunch of cheese in my hand, and now I'm going to show it to his nose like this, and then I'm going to bring my hand up in between my eyebrows. As I do that, I'm going to say my verbal command, watch. When he does look at me, I'm going to click and give him some food. Luring is a great way to teach hand signals because the way that my hand moves when I lure his gaze is going to become the hand signal for this behavior. Watch. If he doesn't look at you immediately, try and wait him out first. Watch. Good. Watch. Watch. You can see how this is kind of like cheating, in my opinion, compared to the offered behavior. He's only looking at me because he's following food in my hand. He's not actually really thinking about anything. Watch. 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 Where'd that other piece of cheese go? Watch. I should stand up more. Yeah. Watch. 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 Okay. Now we're gonna do what's called fading the lure. Fading the lure means that we're not gonna have food in our hand that we're using to communicate with the dog. We're just gonna have our hand move without the food in it. And you wanna try and have the hand move in the same way. So I have food in my left hand. My right hand has no food in it. Watch. And because my hand looks like it did the past couple times when there was cheese in it, he's gonna do that same behavior that he did. Because he's made that association. Watch. He's like, hey, maybe I should look at person's face when their hand's on their face. Watch. 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 Oops. Watch. Get it? Watch. 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 Good. Okay, now we're going to transition over to sit. Dogs that like to jump up on people and act wild, which is what dogs his age normally do, they benefit a lot. Okay, you're making it difficult for me to open this. They benefit a lot from being conditioned that sitting is a way to get you what you want, kind of like how we did with the eye contact. I like to train a hand signal on this one first, and then I will do the catching and the shaping behavior. Eye contact is something that comes naturally to dogs more than a sit, so that's why I don't feel the need to lure the eye contact first before I do the shaping and catching behavior. But with sit, it's a behavior that doesn't come as naturally to a dog, so I feel the need to warm them up and start them on a hand signal sit before I expect them to learn how to offer it. Okay, so I have cheese, my clicker. I'm using luring here, so I'm gonna take a piece of cheese, make sure he's interested in it, and then I'm gonna hold it up over top of his head, because I should track it and he should want to sit. I'm not going to say the word sit, I'm saying it right now just for the sake of talking to you. But you don't want to say the word because he doesn't know what the hell it means. And so it would be stupid for me to say it, expecting for him to make an association. Okay? Hey buddy, come my hand. Maybe step on a python. So if he jumps up like that, he's got a leaf in his tail. If he jumps up like he's been doing, just keep holding the cheese above his head to punish that behavior. So this doesn't work anymore, right? Distracted. Very good. And you want to start to notice him doing the seated behavior more. Oh, I'll give it to him. He technically did sit and I clipped. And every time I'm holding the cheese over his head, my hand looks like the hand signal for this behavior will eventually look like. Very nice. He's getting better. Come here. Very thoughtful. Oh, nice. Very good. Okay, so now we're going to fade the lure. I'm going to have my hand look the same exact way as it did before, except there's going to be no food in it. He thinks there's food in it, but there's not. And then I treat from the hand behind my back that does have the food in it. Very nice. Good composure there, buddy. Okay. And I love how he's thinking to jump, but catches himself. Yeah, that's his logical brain overriding his emotional one, which is hard for Puppy today. Are you getting sleepy? Come here. And every time he looked away, I was just kissing at him to try and keep him on track. Now, after a dog is fluent on your hand signal, that's when you can start to overlay a verbal command. Okay, flashing him the food reward again to keep him motivated. Very nice. So I'm going to start to overlay the verbal command sit now. And you want to say the word as you are giving the hand signal. Sit. Try and only say it once. If he didn't sit immediately, wait him out at least 3 seconds before you ask again. Sit. Very nice. I feel like he already knew this. Apologies if he does. I guess it's a good refresher for him there. Sit. Hey. Sit. Ah, ah, ah. Come here. Come on. Sit. Good. See how much more time you have left. All right, in the time we have left, this is a weird angle. In the time we have left, we're going to work on offered sits. So we're going to see if he'll figure out that sitting gets him what he wants. So I'm not going to ask him anything. Hey, Papa. Hey, Papa. Hey. What do you do? Very good. Nice. Yeah, you already knew what this was. I'm going to try and amp him up a little bit more. Have him practice some impulse control. You okay? Hey, Papa. What do you do? What do you do? What do you do, Ollie? Very nice. Good boy. Good boy. Okay, so that's going to conclude his training for today. He's looking pretty tired. I'm going to go take some other dogs out and about to work on their training. After that is done, if it's still daylight by the time I get home today, by the way, if he starts to act like that and is annoying, that's where you're going to want to act like you're really irritated and vocalize. Not like that. I'm just going to try and get him to do it again. So if he's really amped up because someone is loving on him like this, oh my gosh, of course you're going to get this behavior, right? Of course, of course. And if he hurts you or jumps at you, that's when you're going to go, ah, 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 ah. And you're going to keep doing it until he backs away like that. And then you're going to pet him again and try and do it more calmly, okay? But that's what I do to try and dissuade dogs from jumping up on me. Act like I'm barking at them like I'm upset because it hurts, because sometimes it does hurt. But you have to be aware of how sensitive your dog is. He's a little bit sensitive. He's got some scars on him. He's a little bit sensitive, so you want to be very careful about using that loud bark noise. You don't want it to scare him too badly, because then he could be afraid to interact with people, and you don't want that. Yeah. Okay, but anyway, if it's light time by the time I get home, I want to record some of his dog interactions. He's been a great player here. He's confident enough to tell a dog off if they're being too much. He's not very emotional when he plays. He's very logical. He can regulate himself, so he's a really good playgroup dog. He'll make someone a really good dog. Won't you, Bubba? Yeah. He's a good boy. Okay, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.